This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Good afternoon. Thanks for checking in. High, hard heat once again. Our weather reality. We've seen this movie before, folks. Real field conditions will soar into the mid-90s this afternoon. That's about 15 degrees above where they should be this time of year. The hot stuff will last through midweek when some much-needed rain arrives. Buffalo meteorologist Andy Parker, how bad is that rain deficit anyway?
Well, it depends on who you ask and where you're standing. If you're in some parts of the southern tier, it's not as bad. But if you're in central Erie County up into Niagara County, people are saying it's cracked earth, brown grass, as bad as it's been for a number of years.
Play it safe if you're out in the great outdoors today. Experts caution extreme heat is the leading cause of weather-related death in this country. Heavy rain and flash flooding swamped parts of Kansas, Missouri, and Wisconsin last night.
5 feet of water in the basement.
We looked out our windows like it was like a river.
More from correspondent Megan DeMar in waterlogged Milwaukee.
Ferocious storms brought heavy rain and dangerous winds.
Water is everywhere.
Hardest hit Milwaukee, where some areas got more than a foot of rain. Drivers were stuck in and on top of submerged cars. Rescue crews brought some to safety.
This flooding event, it's very significant. It's something that Milwaukee hasn't seen in perhaps a decade or more.
They could use some of that rain out west, where at least 37 major wildfires are burning in 9 states. The flames forced the evacuation of a prison in Colorado. The Lee Fire, as it's known, is so large that it's creating its own weather system in northwestern Colorado. President Trump and Russian ruler Vladimir Putin will meet Friday in Alaska to discuss ways to wind down the war in Ukraine. Here's NBC's Garrett Haake.
Look, President Trump believes himself to be a master deal maker. He has kept careful count these last 8 months of the conflicts around the world that he's helped bring to a close. But come Friday, he'll be across the table from a Russian president much of the world views as a war criminal. And now the world will be watching to see if Trump can persuade Vladimir Putin to pause or stop his bloody 3-year invasion of Ukraine.
NATO Secretary General says Putin remains a threat to the West, but the get-together this week is essential to ending the war.
He is still the main threat to the Western alliance, there's no doubt. And I think it is very good that President Trump will test him, and we'll see how far he can get on Friday.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says he will not cede any land in the mineral-rich Donbass region. Russia desperately wants that land. Zelensky will not be at the Alaska summit. Reporter Lucas Tomlinson continues our coverage.
Vice President J.D. Vance, he says that both sides are likely not going to get what they want in this deal, should it happen.
We're going to try to find some negotiated settlement that the Ukrainians and the Russians can live with, where they can live in relative peace, where the killing stops.
Ahead of the summit in Alaska Friday, Russia continues launching drones into Ukraine with the help from China and Iran.
Friday's get-together is the first in-person meeting between the leaders of the U.S. and Russia since Moscow ordered the invasion of Ukraine back in the winter of 2022. President Trump spoke by phone yesterday with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as the Jewish state prepares to take full control of the Gaza Strip.
Our goal is not to occupy Gaza. Our goal is to free Gaza. Free it from Hamas terrorists.
Many are worried, however, what this new war strategy will mean for the 20 hostages that Hamas is still holding. Trey Yingst at Fox News.
The hostages are believed to be held in the center of the Strip in a city called Deir al-Balah. This is where many people are sheltering. It's been largely untouched by the Israeli military on the ground, and that is because they are concerned about the 20 living hostages and the bodies of 30 others that are still being held by Hamas. We've heard from these families. They are concerned concerned that if this military operation moves forward, their loved ones could be killed or injured.
Israeli Defense Forces yesterday killed 5 Al Jazeera journalists in an airstrike in Gaza City. One worked for Hamas. They were in a tent that was housing journalists. An IDF spokesman says, and we're quoting here, "A press badge is not a shield for terrorism." Texas Governor Greg Abbott's playing hardball with Democrats who fled his state to protest a redistricting bill. Abbott's still threatening to have more than 50 Democrats arrested.
If they show back up in the state of Texas, they will be arrested and taken to the Capitol. If they want to evade that arrest, they're going to have to stay outside of the state of Texas for literally years.
Abbott says the exiled Democrats are violating their oath of office and can be removed from office. Many have sought refuge in Illinois. The governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker.
What Greg Abbott is doing and what Donald Trump is attempting to do is to cheat.
The Democratic lawmakers have left the Lone Star State to keep Republicans from having the quorum necessary to redraw the Texas congressional map. President Trump hosting a press conference this morning on the federal takeover of crime-fighting efforts. In Washington, D.C., 100 FBI agents began patrolling the streets of D.C. last night. Well, some of us were surprised today to learn that AOL still has dial-up internet service. Boy, that sound brings back some memories. That was the sound of connectivity in the early days of the World Wide Web. AOL says it will end dial-up officially at the end of September. It did not divulge how many people are still using dial-up. Still to come on the Noon Report for Monday, opening day of the Steuben County Fair, blowout win at WGI, and the softball champs from Johnstown.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams. Another sizzling day is underway, but parts of our region really could use some rain. Is there any in the forecast, though? We'll have the details up in 10.
All right, Kevin, we'll look for you then. A boil water advisory remains in effect in Oswego, New York. It could stay in effect through the rest of the week. A water main break, the main reason why. Those in the southwestern section of Oswego urged to boil their water for at least a minute before they use it. And experts are reminding us today to conserve as much water as we can during the rain deficit. If you can, hold off on watering your lawn or washing your car. New York Governor Kathy Hochul will not say whether she'll endorse New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani.
There's many areas of disagreement, but also there's areas of alignment, including affordability. His election touched a nerve. I've worked with 2 different mayors. I will make it work out because I'm not going to go to war with the 8 million residents of New York that I also represent.
Hochul, who's seeking re-election herself next year, spoken out against some of Mamdani's more controversial positions, including government-run grocery stores. One person is dead after colliding with a tow truck while driving an e-bike in Niagara Falls. The bicyclist was driving on the wrong side of the road, then took a right turn in front of the truck. It happened at the intersection of Ontario Ave and Lockport Street. Shane Van Gisbergen continues his mastery of the NASCAR Cup Series road courses this year. He posted a dominant win at Watkins Glen International yesterday. The New Zealander finished a whopping 11 seconds ahead of the runner-up Christopher Bell in Sunday's race. So how does it feel, Mr. Van Gisbergen?
Amazing. Amazing to get another one to execute all day, and really, really special. And just to add to what we've done this year is it's a privilege to drive for such a great team, and I'm so stoked.
Yeah, I'm so stoked, he says. Van Gisbergen has won 4 road course races this season and has set the record as well for victories by a rookie. For the 9th year in a row, Pennsylvania's largest abortion clinic has failed a safety inspection. The Philadelphia Women's Center performs over 5 6,000 abortions every year. Nearly 900 late-term abortions are done there every year. Despite these hazards, the state health department has yet to sanction that clinic. Love is overrated, according to Gen Zers. Reporter Rob Martier says most prefer money over romance.
A new dating survey by matchmaking service Talkify says 46% of Gen Zers would choose long-term financial stability over romance, and almost 1 in 3 said they'd even take back an ex if that ex got rich. The survey also found that 1 in 10 Gen Z women say their ideal match should make $200,000 or more, and most won't settle for less than $80,000. Millennials, on the other hand, have no problem with a broke and magical relationship, with 59% choosing love over financial security. I'm Rob Martier.
You've heard of Take Your Children to Work Day. What if it was the other way around? Another survey of Gen Zers reveals that they are increasingly bringing their moms and dads to job interviews.
When you have parents helping you out with chores, making the financial decisions, it's not too shocking that when Gen Zers leave the home and go into the workplace, they expect some of that same treatment. And that's why we see so many Gen Zers still depending on parents, even when they're in the workplace.
Campus Reform's Emily Sturge says 77% of Gen Zers have brought their parents to a job interview.
Gen Zers are still living at home with their parents due to things like high housing costs. 45% of 18 to 29-year-olds are still living at home. That's a level we haven't seen in this country since the Great Depression.
73% of Gen Zers admit their parents help them complete work assignments.
The reality is Gen Z is entering into a pretty tough job market. Just 12% of Gen Zers graduate school with jobs secured, and then 60% of them remain unemployed after graduation.
The oldest continuously running county fair in the country. That fair got underway today at the Steuben County Fairgrounds in Bath, New York, just up the road from Family Life headquarters. The 206th Steuben County Fair features everything from carnival rides to livestock competitions to the fan favorite Demolition Derby. The fair debuted in 1819, almost 50 years before the Civil War. Well, if you like shopping for a deal, then you'll love what we celebrate this week.
Everyone loves a good deal. Some people shop sales, others use coupons, others thrift. Regardless of how you hunt for the best price and great discounts, this week is for you, because August 11th to the 17th is National Bargain Hunting Week. Observed annually in the second week of August, this week celebrates those yard sale finds, clearance rack bargains, and every other way you score a good deal. It was created in 1996 by author Debbie Carey Brown, who wrote 2 books on bargain hunting, and the date of National Bargain Hunting Week coincides with National Smile Week on purpose. So as you shop this week, celebrate the success of a good bargain, and don't discount this week of savings. Brian Query, Family Life News.
All right, thank you, Brian. The Little League Softball World Series title is back in Pennsylvania.
Out to left, and the championship is going home with the kids from PA.
The girls' team from Johnstown beat Team Indiana yesterday in the championship game of the Little League Softball World Series that happened in North Carolina. It was the first Little League World Series title won by a Pennsylvania team since Shippensburg did it back in 1978, so it's been a while. The boys swing into action this week. Wednesday marks the start of the Little League World Series in South Williamsport. We've got more sports next. It's the 2-minute drill on Family Life.
Good afternoon. I'm Randy Snavely. Bob Jose Altuve hit his 250th career home run, and the Astros took the rubber game of their series with the Yankees 7-1. After the game, Aaron Boone said New York is feeling the pressure. They are now just a half a game in front for the final wild card spot in the American League. Over in the National League, the other New York team is feeling the heat as well. The Mets lost their 7th straight game and 11th out of their last 12. The Brewers got a walk-off home run from Isaac Collins and knocked off the Amazons 7-6. For Milwaukee, 9 straight victories. And at 73-44, they have the best record in the Bigs by far. The Mets hold on to the final wild card spot, but just by a game and a half over the Reds, who beat the Pirates 14-8. The Phillies swept the Rangers with yesterday's 4-2 victory. Edmundo Sosa went deep. Zach Wheeler fanned 7 over 5 innings to pick up the victory. Elsewhere, your winners were the Twins, Athletics, Tigers, White Sox, Mariners. Cal Raleigh hit his Major League leading 45th home run. Braves, Nats, D-backs, Cardinals, Padres, and Blue Jays. Preseason football saw the Dolphins and Bears tie their contest 24-all. And the Chargers defeated the Saints 27-13. To NASCAR, Watkins Glen. Shane Van Gisbergen won big over the field. He took the checkered flag by more than 11 seconds over Christopher Bell. Chris Buescher, William Byron, and Chase Briscoe rounded out the top 5. And finally this. Johnstown, Pennsylvania has won their first ever Little League Softball World Series. In the championship game, it was a thriller. Johnstown edged Floyd Knobs, Indiana, 1-0. That is a look at sports.
All right, real pitchers duel there. Thank you, Randy. Still to come, offering hope through New Hope Family Services. We could use some rain, but when will we get it? Kev's got the answer. And President Trump is about to federalize the streets of D.C.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. Back on July 18th, British Conservative Party member Danny Kruger gave a beautiful and passionate speech before a British Parliament. He called on England's leaders to remember where they'd come from, and he warned what lie ahead if they don't. Britain's glory, he argued, is rooted in the riches of Christianity, and abandoning that heritage is why the nation is now struggling. In a somewhat fitting development, Kruger spoke to a mostly empty room. The speech has since gone viral, but few other MPs bothered to show up for it live. It's difficult to imagine a better analogy for our cultural moment than a faithful voice warning against looming dangers and yet being widely ignored. Kruger's speech should be listened to in its entirety. It's that good. After sharing the long history of Christianity in England, which dates back over 1,000 years to when the nation first emerged from pagan Germanic tribes, he noted the unique bond between the Church of England and the nation. The very room, he noted, where he was speaking was once a chapel, and the government still plays a role in leading the church. Now, Americans obviously differ on the idea of a state church, and with good reason. But yet, we ought to share Kruger's concern about losing our religion. Christianity is what made the modern world. As historian Tom Holland has noted, our ideas about justice and love and mercy and human rights certainly did not come from pagan idol worshippers. These ideas first came from the ancient Hebrews who handed them to the early church. They result now in their final form from the long meditation on Christianity's divine truths. From the British context, those truths gave the world incredible cultural treasure, from the writings of Shakespeare, Milton, and Austen to the science of Newton and Faraday. From this fertile soil came Wilberforce, who liberated the slaves, and Churchill, who saved the world from tyranny. All of these minds grew up in a world that was shaped by Christian truth. And it is this truth that's now under such grave threat across the West, especially in Britain. Instead, as Kruger pointed out, it's Islam that's taking root in many British cities and far-left ideologues who oppose the very ideals which built the world from which they now benefit. But it's becoming more and more obvious that getting rid of Christianity is not going to bring about the secular utopia that was promised. Here's how Kruger put it, quote, "To repudiate Christianity is not only to sever ourselves from our past, but to cut off the source of all the things we value now and that we need in the future, such as freedom and tolerance, individual dignity, and human rights. A new restoration is needed now, with a revival of the faith, a recovery of a Christian politics, and a refounding of this nation on the teachings that Alfred made the basis of the common law of England all those centuries ago. This is a mission for the church under its next leader, whoever that is. It is a mission for this place, the old chapel that became the wellspring of Western democracy, and for us, its members. And it is a mission for our whole country. It is the route to a prosperous modernity founded on respect for human dignity, responsibility for the created world, and the worship of God." End quote. That sounds an awful lot like what might be called Christian nationalism. But here, Kruger is pointing to the very heart of Truth Rising, a new project of the Colson Center and Focus on the Family. The new documentary exposes that we're living in a civilizational moment where so very much is at stake. Co-hosted by Oz Guinness and myself, Truth Rising combines the insights of experts about this moment with incredible stories of courage. The same truth and the same power that God used to bring blessing to his world is still available to us. It's available to his people today. Go to truthrising.com for more information about the new film, Truth Rising. That's truthrising.com. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
All right, John, thank you much. Let's head outside next. Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life weather forecast. Dry this afternoon, mostly sunny and hot. High temperatures 80s to low 90s. Tonight, partly cloudy, low temps, mid-60s to near 70. Tomorrow, hot and muggier. Sun and clouds, slight chance of an afternoon thundershower. High temps 80s and low 90s. Variably cloudy and muggy Wednesday, a couple of showers and thunderstorms around. The high temperature Wednesday in the 80s.
All right, Kev, we can't buy a drop of rain here, but they're getting way too much of it in the Midwest. Reporter Maggie Vespa is in hard-hit Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
The Midwest getting hammered by more rain after sweeping flash floods swallowed parts of Wisconsin this weekend. Homes and cars submerged, water rescues stacking up.
We pulled dozens of people out of cars and off of cars trapped in the middle of floodwaters.
The Wisconsin State Fair shut down. Fairgoers forced to wade through flooded parking lots.
They could use some of that rain out west, where at least 37 major fires are burning in 9 states. The Lee Fire in the northwestern part of Colorado, so large, it's creating its own weather system. The stakes are high in Alaska this week as President Trump and Russia's Vladimir Putin meet face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball, to talk about the war in Ukraine. Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S. says the world must see this war as a fight between good and evil.
The front line in east and south of Ukraine is the front line between evil and good. And the question is when that front line is going to be. Is it going to be on our territory? Is it going to be on our borders? Or is it going to be in Europe and everywhere?
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky will not be present at the summit. The Israeli military killed a suspected Hamas terrorist working for Al Jazeera over the weekend. 4 others also died in the airstrike on a tent that was housing reporters in Gaza City. Here's reporter Matt Bradley.
It's been another weekend of protests in Israel and abroad as the world reacts to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to expand the fighting in Gaza.
The Prime Minister says he's not trying to occupy Gaza. He's trying to free Gaza from Hamas. Some, however, worry this new war strategy endangers the lives of the hostages that Hamas is holding, arguing crime in the nation's capital is way too high. President Trump is putting federal agents on the streets of D.C.
Agents from the Washington field office of the FBI are now among the federal law enforcement visibly out on the streets as part of the president's initiative that he says would make D.C. safer, alleging the city is too crime-ridden. Local leaders say crime is down 35% in the nation's capital over the past year, so are violent crimes, and that this is political.
CBS's Scott McFarland, the president, defended his move to federalize the streets of D.C. in a news conference at the White House this morning. The CDC in Atlanta, Georgia is calling for more security after Friday's shooting that left a police officer and the gunman dead. Correspondent Skylar Henry.
CDC leadership said they believe their office was the intended target of the shooting. Police have not yet discovered a motive, but investigators are looking into a theory that the shooter believed he was sick because of the COVID vaccine.
Another study says 72% of Gen Z adults, those from 23 to 28 years of age, have taken steps to improve their financial situation. This includes saving more money or paying down debt. Ashley Ross at Bank of America says many, however, still need help from mom and dad.
The amount of Gen Zers who receive support from parents and family is about 39%, but that's better than or lower than it has been in previous years where it was about 46%.
That's Ashley Ross at Bank of America. And this is the Noon Report on Family Life. This is Mission Pulse on Family Life. Mondays during the Noon Report, we spotlight ministries making a difference where you live, across the country, and around the world. This week, we're spotlighting New Hope Family Services in Syracuse, New York. Our guest is Executive Director Jill Putman. Here's some of our conversation. Well, Joe, I'm sure you get asked this question a million times, so I'll ask it and get it out of the way. What is New Hope Family Services anyway? Are you a Christian adoption agency? Are you a crisis pregnancy center? How do you describe who you are to people who don't know?
Well, yes, actually, we are both. New Hope Family Services is a pregnancy resource center and a New York State authorized adoption agency in New York State.
Okay. How long have you been providing adoption services in New York?
We've been providing adoption services in Central New York since 1965. So we are just celebrating our 60th anniversary of adoption services here in Central New York.
Wow. So, Jill, if you would just explain a little bit, how great is the need for Christian adoptions?
There is a need, and there's no other Christian adoption agency in New York State that provides the services that we provide. There's a lot of brokenness in our community, and it's beneficial for us to be able to work with couples and to be able to match them with a child, but to also be able to provide sharing the gospel with them and praying for them. And like I said, there's no other agency like this in our state.
How many adoptions do you do a year on average?
I'm going to say somewhere between 7 to 10, typically. Okay. We are a smaller agency, so we might not have the numbers of a very large secular agency, but the placements that we have been absolutely beautiful, and our relationships with the adoptive couples as well as the birth parents have been just a beautiful thing.
Maybe there's someone today listening to this program who, for whatever reason, cannot have children of their own and really feels the call to adopt. If you could walk us through the process of an adoption and all the questions that people have to ask themselves.
Sure. Yeah, well, coming into adoption, I mean, the way that we do it at New Hope, anyone who is interested in adoption, we hold an orientation, and the orientation walks through our whole entire adoption program, the process. A lot of times people who are looking to adopt have gone through infertility and or miscarriages. Adoption is a lot of education and learning about the triad, the healthy triad between the adoptive parent, the child, and the birth parents. And then after the orientation, we have an application process, and we have adoptive caseworkers that will go through a series of interviewing and home study rounds. And once those are all approved, then we can create a profile of their life and their family to be able to present to any birth parents that are considering placing their babies for adoption.
So how long is the process start to finish? How long does it typically take?
I would say about 4 months from the first interview until they're approved. It's about a 4-month process.
Jill, you said up front that you're also a pregnancy resource center as well as being a Christian adoption agency. How do the two of those work together, or are they totally separate entities at New Hope?
Well, no. I mean, we all operate under the same office. We operate hand in hand. The Pregnancy Resource Center, we serve clients in the community. We offer free pregnancy tests, ultrasounds. Clients can come in once a month for services. All of our services are provided at no cost to the client. We're 100% donation-driven financially and materially. Clients can come in and get free diapers, wipes, baby clothing, baby supplies, all of that. They can meet with a volunteer client advocate for peer counseling. We have a whole fatherhood program that works with men. We have newborn care classes. We have parenting classes. We have post-abortive healing program if someone has had an abortion in the past. Anyone who's had miscarriage or infant loss, we have counseling for that as well. So we really want to walk hand in hand with anyone, whatever their situation is. You know, I mean, if they're experiencing a crisis pregnancy, we want to let them come in, talk with them, let them see the baby, the heartbeat, and ultimately we would love for them to choose life. We can't make the choice for them, but we want to walk hand in hand with them. If they do choose abortion, we want to let them know that we're there for them in that case too, and that we want to help them find healing for that.
Do most of the women facing crisis pregnancy situations abortion vulnerable women who come to you for help, do most of them, after seeking your help, choose to carry on with their pregnancy?
Well, there is a high percentage, yes, that do. But again, some don't, and we can't make that choice for them.
I imagine it can't be easy in a state like New York to do what you do. What have been some of the biggest hurdles you've had to overcome in your many years of ministry there in Syracuse?
Well, I'm a relatively new executive director for New Hope, but just overcoming hurdles of, just that we are a Christian agency and the attacks on that. And then, of course, more recently is the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Just the negative publicity that's out there in what we do are just a lot of misconceptions, and our mission is to be Christ's hands extended to offer hope and healing to all women facing unexpected pregnancies and adoption needs in central New York. So, that's our mission, and that's what we're there to do. And we want to love on everyone that walks through our doors and help them make the best choice available for them.
All right. And Jill, if folks want to know more about New Hope Family Services, where can they find you?
Well, our physical location is on James Street in Syracuse, New York, or they could look us up online at newhopefamilyservices.com.
That is Jill Putman with New Hope Family Services in Syracuse, New York, for this week's edition of Mission Pulse. Mondays during the Noon Report, we spotlight ministries making a difference where you live, across the country, and around the world. You can subscribe, listen to, and share all our Mission Pulse feature reports online anytime at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or our website, familylife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Well, the new week has picked up where the weekend left off. It's another hot one out there today. Could really use some rain. None expected today. The chances increase midweek, though. That's as humidity builds. That could yield, and probably will yield, a few scattered showers and storms then. But dry this afternoon, mostly sunny and hot. High temperatures 80s to low 90s. Tonight, partly cloudy, low temps, mid-60s to near 70. Tomorrow, hot and muggier. Sun and clouds, slight chance of an afternoon thundershower. High temps 80s and low 90s. Variably cloudy and muggy Wednesday, a couple of showers and thunderstorms around. A high temperature Wednesday in the 80s.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Finally at noon, did you hear about the California pup just named World's Ugliest Dog? Here's Mark Mayfield.
The hairless English-French Bulldog mix named Petunia took the title in the World's Ugliest Dog contest at the Sonoma County Fair this past Friday. Owner Shannon Nyman won $5,000 from the contest, which has been running for nearly 50 years. I'm Mark Mayfield.
All right, Mark, at least made a little money out of it. And that's our world, the world we live in. Monday, the 11th of August. I'm Bob Price. Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.